If you knew me now, you would know that I mean what I say, and I don't play games. Well, damn, Monet, tell us how you really feel. Hey, welcome back, guys. Monet Tejada, the matriarch of the Tejada family turned family outcast following the events of 208, finds herself in a precarious position post-chaos. Her many deceptions, heavy-handed approach to rulership, and refusal to humble her ambitions once the king of the Tejada clan physically returned to the throne has left her character stuck in an unfamiliar terrain, one that has left her no choice but to give in to her base instincts for the sake of her own survival. In today's video, we'll break down the character of Monet Tejada and assess her options and potential maneuvers with her back now against the proverbial wall. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things power. Here we go. Monet Tejada has arguably had the most complicated journey of any Power Ghost character this season. From the very beginning of the season, you can feel the tension overtaking her psyche. Her sins committed in the game during the climax of Ghost's debut season inspired a paranoia that she would later attempt to subvert through an exit plan. That strategy came in the form of her nephew's son, Zeke, Stansfield's star basketball prodigy and not-so-stellar academic. She started this season considering only the futures of Zeke, Diana, and Drew. Kane and Lorenzo were not included in this vision, and for good reason in hindsight, if we're really being fair. Kane had formerly defected from the family, allowing his jealousy and rage to fuel his motivations, which caused collateral damage to his mother's enterprise. As for Lorenzo, he was locked away with no chance at freedom prior to episode 206. With this in mind, Monet planned for as far as she could see. However, where her vision lacked is ultimately what came back to harm her most. That myopic view began with the state of her children's temperaments. We witnessed Monet rule with an iron fist in regards to her offspring. She was cold, unnurturing, and downright crass in her relationship to them, often addressing them not as a mother to a son or a daughter, but as a general to a non-compliant soldier. Her children rarely refer to her as mom, but rather acknowledge her on a first-name basis. We, the Power fandom, made a serious mockery of her approach in dealing with them throughout Season 1. The way she was speaking to them in particular, though hilarious at times, did not inspire the type of loyalty and dedication she thought it would. To the contrary, it only served to cultivate anger, discontent, and rebelliousness towards her reign. Those ills were bridged over to Season 2, particularly in Drew to start. His brush with death via gunshot left him embittered and resentful towards his mother. As many strokes with death do, he considered his life and lack thereof. Am I living for me or living for the family? This question swirled through Drew's psyche, and his behavior against her and for himself became glaring up until his father's release. Diana, on the other hand, is a whole nother story entirely. She has long been trained by her mother to take her place in the Tejada family hierarchy one day, and like a princess to a queen, she heeded her mother's advice and humbly absorbed her wisdom. However, Monet's perpetual dismissal of Diana's growing femininity and coming of age pushed her daughter towards the edge of recalcitrance. And to make matters worse, once Monet's only daughter began to uncover her mother's deceptions, she was pushed completely over that aforementioned cliff, losing all respect for the woman whose only aim was to mold her in her own image. Diana is certainly her mother's daughter, but she doesn't maintain her mother's coldness and unilateral view of the future. Where Monet views the world in black and white, Diana sees its many colors, and that vision makes her an evolution of her mother as opposed to a carbon copy. In this way, Monet is to Diana what Ghost was to Tariq, yet the dynamic is more of the inverse. Where Monet was training Diana to be a street queen versus a scholar, Ghost's ambitions for his son was to subvert the underworld and become a greater version of himself, which started with his academics coming before everything. Ghost's negligence of his son's true nature and forceful hand over Tariq's future led to his demise, and Diana and Monet's similar dynamic could possibly lead to the same if the latter is not careful. The only difference is that Monet isn't blinded by her love for Diana as Ghost was by his love for Tariq. Monet, in so many words, has already threatened Diana's life a few times this season. Another oddity that could spark murderous intentions in Princess Di as her respect continues to dwindle for her forebear. As possible as this state of affairs could be, it lends itself to our continued underestimation of Monet Tejada, a mistake that put us all on notice following her vicious behavior after Diana essentially blew up the Tejada family and ousted her mother from the fold. Monet, in an anxious effort to repair the overwhelmingly strained relationship with her nephew's son, paid an unexpected visit to the last obstacle between herself and that mission, Carrie Milgram. As we know, Monet quickly identified the maternal-like instincts that, in addition to their physical exchanges, attracted Zeke to her grasp and influence. And she knew she'd remain on the outside of redemption so long as Carrie held the greater sway. She knew what had to be done and acted immediately, though at the time of this video, we are unaware exactly to how that played out. Carrie ended up hanging from her own ceiling, being found by the very person who inadvertently caused her demise simply by his bloodline affiliation. Monet either directly killed Carrie or coerced her into killing herself to avoid a more torturous death. In either case, the viciousness of Monet was placed on full display to anyone who ever doubted her prior declarations that she was indeed Monet Tejada, and not to be fucked with as a result of being such a gangster entity. This has been a consistent talking point of hers, how she's not for the bull, and crossing her would lead to an inevitable crossing out. I think her over-the-top conveyance of the point has led the viewers and ancillary characters of the Power universe to think she's bullshitting. But Monet displayed a different side to us all in 208, one that doesn't respond in kind to her worst fears becoming realized. She held a distinct look in her eyes that prefaced her murderous actions and showed us just how far she's willing to take things once tested in such a dire fashion. That's the interesting component of pressure. It presents our true nature to us, and in this case, to the Power fandom. Monet under fire hasn't been something we've been accustomed to seeing, and this leaves some lingering potentialities about her next moves as we enter Season 2's penultimate episode. For one, Monet will definitely reconcile with her lover and baby's father, Dante, who we all know as the notorious Mecca. Mecca's love and passion to acquire Monet as his queen is the only reason Cain still breathes the air of God, following that robbery heist. And though Mecca will have reservations against her, he'll manipulate a situation where she'll continually return to his charms. Diana already set such events in motion by leaving Monet with nowhere to turn, and she'll go back to what she knows despite her recent hesitations. And while we're on Diana, she better move carefully when it comes to her mother. Monet's shameful shellacking at the hands of her daughter won't be soon forgotten. It's the nature of humiliation itself. Those who are the unfortunate recipients of the negative experience, especially the vengeful, tend not to forgive such a grave transgression against their integrity. Monet's shameful exposure brought up similar feelings to that of the infamous Cersei Lannister of Game of Thrones. Though not literally marched naked through the streets for all to see, her sins were brought to light in front of her entire family, leaving her metaphorically naked for all to judge and castigate by extension. We saw how the aforementioned Lannister queen levied her revenge against the Capitol and all participants who took pleasure in her humiliation ritual. And Monet's revenge might just arrive in a similar spirit when the time comes to exact such rage. I just know I wouldn't want my last name to be Tejada when the bill comes due. But what are your thoughts on all of this? Will we see Monet take the necessary steps to achieve redemption by season's end? Or will her and Diana's relationship play out as another Power Hood tragedy? Be sure to drop me your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop a dollar on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.